Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here one more time, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for StringTech Workstations. I've had one of my subscribers recently ask, could you walk us through what steps you take to sort of evaluate a guitar, give it the once over before you start working? That is what this video is about. We have a Strat copy, not an expensive guitar, and I've gone over it already, the fingerboard. I've checked the truss rod to make sure it works, and it does. And I've got the lay of the neck as straight as possible. But these are all the discrepancies along the lay of the neck, and this needs to be taken care of in order to be able to drop those strings down nice and close. So let me take a straight edge. This is the smallest of the straight edges you get in your kit, and you can see that this fret here, it's rocking all the way across. This one, it's just in the middle. This side's okay, this side's okay, it's just in the center. This one, it's just on the treble side. Middle is fine, bass side is fine. This is the next straight edge up, and you can see it's rocking here. This fret, just that one spot on the bass side. Middle is fine, treble is fine. Here and here, we've just got that treble side. So you see where I'm going with this. I've marked all of these discrepancies. So I'm going to go ahead and level, and then I'm going to bring you in close, and you'll see all of these chalk marks that I've made. They are the frets that will get the biggest hit. So I am going to start by taking out this nut, because I want to go full length and have complete control from the nut right to the end of the fingerboard. Okay, let's try that. It is coming. There we go. You want to move quickly while that glue is still soft from the heat. I have mentioned this before, but you always work from the outside in. Happy with that. Got that out good and clean. So these are all the chalk marks, and you'll see all those frets light up when I run the leveling file along. I'll stop after I've done my leveling and bring you in for a closer look. So now that we got the nut out of the way, we can actually go full length. These are the files that you get in your kits. And remember, you always move obliquely. If you move in a straight line, then you'll disrupt the natural radius of the frets. This is why you need to move at that angle like that, obliquely over the crown, but you have to keep the file straight in line with the string path. You can't turn the file. So again, okay, right up to the top. Now I'm going to sort of back up towards that first fret, still moving obliquely and then cross hatching again. I've thought about this, and I understand now what Andrew from Pennsylvania was referring to when he said he bought the 3 tech decks so he could do pre and post plec. At first I thought that sounds ridiculous, but now that I think of it, before he hits the plec machine, he can use the GPS unit, and then after he's finished with the plec machine, those CNC machines don't do a great job of recrowning the frets. They obviously do a great job of leveling. I'm assuming what Andrew's doing after he gets the guitar off the CNC machine, he uses the tech deck to do the final crowning and polishing like you've seen in countless videos. Let's bring you in for a closer look at this now so that you can see how the chalk lines have lined up with all those high spots. This is our very first run with a leveling file. Bring it a little closer. So you can see all those spots that I had marked after going over it with the straight edges. these are the spots that lit up. You can see that the crown of the fret is squared off where I marked all those chalk marks on the roasted fingerboard. Our next step now is to work either side of those squared off frets until we bring the crowns closer to center. You can see I've already worked those two frets. If you look at this fret here, you can still see it's fairly square, that profile, so I'm going to just chase that. Like I keep saying in those other videos, don't touch the center of the crown. We're going to get to that later. Right now we're just taking those sharp edges off either side of the fret that are left by the leveling file. Because of the fingerboard radius and the body's in the way, I can switch the file around like this, but I'll have more control if I just walk around to the other side, and that's what I'm going to do. And you can see as I work these frets, you can see the tooling swath of the leveling file gets thinner and thinner as I work the sides of the frets, coaxing them back towards center. Now that I no longer have to contend with the body being in the way, I can go all the way across now with one stroke. See, this one really took a hit. It was really squared off. And I checked it. It's not lifting. These are just discrepancies along the lay of the neck. This is kind of squared off too. There we go. This one. Now this guitar also needs an edge dress. Those frets are pretty sharp on the outside edge. So we're going to run that file over those next. This is another reason for the fret guards. So when you're doing your edge dress along the edge, you don't score the top of the guitar. I mentioned this before too, and I'll mention it again, that you know, half of the job is actually listening as opposed to looking. You know you've arrived when the file bottoms out and the sound of the file goes from that sort of crunch to a whisper. And that's what we got. Other side. So I always put my hand over the headstock just to make sure that we don't score the edge of the headstock when we're doing this job. And I'm overlapping my strokes, kind of backing up now towards the top of the fingerboard. It's mostly these upper frets that were the culprits. That's it. Now we're ready for the next step. Now in this next step we use the scrub blocks that you get in your kits, 400 grit. And that gets rid of the tooling marks of the leveling file. So the scrub blocks are wrapped in a flexible vinyl, and it distorts and flexes over those crowns and scrubs them back to center. So here's where we are at this point. So we've got rid of all this sort of squareness on the top of the crowns and chased the crowns back to center, as well as getting rid of the lion's share of the tooling marks of the file. Now we've stepped it up to 600 grit. You can hear how much lighter that abrasive is just by the sound it makes. That's the 600 grit, that's the first piece. And our second piece. So we did that edge dress along the edge of the frets. The next step after that is to make a circular motion with the 400 grit. So I go clockwise and then counterclockwise and then straight across. And that takes care of all those sharp edges. Okay, so again, sort of counterclockwise, clockwise, and then straight along. For these top frets, you just lean in a little more. The vinyl will actually flex along those crowns. The neck is accepted into the pocket of the body. That's good. We've still got another step to go yet with this, so we're not done. That prepares us now for the next step. So this side, same thing. I'm going clockwise like this, counterclockwise, and then along the length, pressing on the scrub block so that that vinyl flexes and grabs any trace of sharp points or barbs. Much better. Next step is this emery cloth, and that basically takes out the scratches of the 600 grit. There's our second piece of emery cloth. So we load up this canvas wheel with jeweler's rouge. Now we buff out any remaining marks. So here we go, once again, a little bit of re-engineering. You can see where the height adjustment screws are actually butted up against the outside diameter of this pivot fastener. And this second one, I've already taken it out. So I need to take that diameter down. Let me show you how I do that. And this is the fastener that's preventing that first string saddle from moving forward. It needs to come down even more than that second string one. That should do it. So here's our final tuning check. This needed a fret dress, level crown polish, edge dress, compensated nut. Took the neck off, got the proper size shim in there for that floating tremolo, which is 9 to 46 strings, this one, at concert pitch, and it's set up to float. As always, I've laid down another chord progression where I kind of play chords in various positions on the neck to sort of demonstrate the accuracy of the intonation across the entire span of the neck. And this bridge has the 6 screws across the leading edge of the plate. No danger of this breaking through to the cavity. I did heat that bar up and just kind of repositioned it. It's a little more comfortable to use. So I'll let that loop play and just flick around the pickup positions, and I'll let you hear this thing. Okay, here we go. So I'll just go through all 5 positions, starting at the neck.